So another milling video today. The little logs we were doing in the last video was sort of preparation for this to make sure that the mill was fully functioning and ready to go, and because now we've got this big thing to go. Got Morag here who's desperate to get in the shot. Yes, and she's probably going to do a bit of the filming, although she's not very good at keeping heads and important details in the shot, so we'll see how we go with that. But anyway, to the log. So here's the first log. It's a yellow box, really decent size. But as you can see, it's in a challenging position. So a good part of this video is not so much going to be the milling, but how we're going to get it into position to get to work on. So the plan is we're going to pull this log over and it's going to drop onto those without smashing them. And then we're going to roll the log out of the ditch. But at the same time, we're going to strap this end so it doesn't fall over, doesn't fall off the ditch. So we only got to bring up one end. Anyway, that's the plan. We'll see how we go. The first thing we did was to anchor the end of the log that was already up on the track next to the irrigation channel, where we were going to be moving the log to, because as we started pulling the other end of the log round, didn't want it to fall back into the channel. So that's the yellow strap that we put on there at the front. Then went to the back of the log and started putting on a black strap, which I wrapped around the log so that as we pulled on the black strap, it would roll the log rather than drag the log, first of all, into the channel, onto those branches we put there as ramps, and then up those branches, up the ramp, and then onto the track. After that was to cut that side branch off, that fork, which would have prevented the log from rolling. And it was about this time that I realised that I had the yellow strap on, didn't have it on correctly. The way it was set up, what would happen is as the log moved, that yellow strap would basically unroll and be loosened and wouldn't actually be doing anything. And the end of the log would fall back into the ditch. So what I did was I took the strap off, I reversed its direction, so that as the black strap at the back was unrolling, the yellow strap at the front would be rolling up, and that would pull, basically get both ends moving in the direction of pull. And then the blue strap, the thin blue strap you can see me putting on the log, that was there to bind the yellow strap to the log, so when it was starting to roll, it wouldn't slip. As it turned out, Morag didn't have much interest in the camera work for this video, but she did have a lot of fun playing in the mud of the channel and dragging bits of wood around. So it was even though she wasn't really involved in what we were doing, it was great having her around and great seeing her having fun. Then we were all set, and it was ready for the pull. And it pretty much worked exactly to plan, almost. So I put some dunnage down, ready for it to roll onto, so it'd be off the ground, ready for milling. But what I failed to realise was that we'd run out of rope. The rope that was attached to the end of the black strap, the knot and the D-shackle got to the pulley, and of course it wouldn't go through the pulley, so we broke the rope. After such a good start, where things were it would have been almost perfect, we then descended into several hours of fiddling and faddling and mucking around. By readjusting straps and readjusting the ropes, we got the log out of the channel, that was relatively easy. But because we didn't get it up on dunnage, and because it had come along the length of the channel rather than just kind of up onto the side, it wasn't in the right position and the ground wasn't quite right, and then we had to get it up on the dunnage, and eventually, after 4 hours, I think, all told, it was up on blocks, ready to mill, and we went and had lunch. So after lunch, we got the mill set up and in business. Unfortunately, didn't have any extra camera batteries, so I didn't get much footage of the actual milling in process. Got these shots on my phone, which is safe to do while I'm doing the horizontal cut, because that's where I'm pushing the mill through the log. Essentially, I can do that with my body, just leaning against the mill. When you're doing the vertical cut and you're pulling the mill towards you, you really need both hands free to be able to do that safely. So that's why this footage is all just going one direction. Well, that's the last of the log. Flipped it to get some of the figured wood out of the butt, out of the taper. So I've been like nice, good, all sorts of things like knife handles and stuff. But that is good load of wood. Beautiful stuff. Can have some fun with it in like several years when it's dried out. Now, as you can, well, I hope you can see in the filming, the amount of fiddle that's in these pieces is just exceptional. Like, most of the boards have got fiddle, and that means that I can probably get at least one, if not two, tabletops out of these pieces to have a whole tabletop of fiddle if I want to, or chests, or Lord knows what. You know, I've got a year and a half, 2 years to think about it before this stuff's be ready to use. It's really common when people are milling for themselves, or when you're buying from a backyard sawmiller, that you'll get lots of wood like this. You know, 2-inch thick planks, 1.5-inch thick planks. But what is less common is people cutting stock for legs, for table legs. And I reckon in those 3 pieces there's at least enough for 2 tables, if not 3, or a table and a 4-poster bed, which is a cool idea. Mind you, trying to move it, made out of yellow box, would be interesting. Also cut some shorts in some 6x8s and some 4x6s for mallet blanks, or bowl turning blanks, or, you know, who knows what. And then other bits and pieces like shorts and some 25mm planks and stuff I got out of there as well. Now, I've got to really thank Meg and Pete. They're the guys who gave me this log. And Peter, you might have seen in the video, he was the one who was helping me mill it. The biggest thing I got out of the day was not the wood, it was the companionship. You know, spending a day with a guy, working alongside him, was just such a tonic. So I started the Patreon page we've got to try and gather support for Hedgerow Farm. The idea that I had was that if I could get 200, 300, 400, 500 people contributing $1 a month, I could go to an investor or a lender and say, hey, look, I've got all these people who are really keen on what I'm doing, and would, you know, and a certain percentage of them, a reasonable percentage of them, would turn into customers if we could get going. And if they're prepared to pay me just, you know, $1 a month for just because they like the idea, you know, that's a good, solid customer. That's people who are showing that they're, you know, they're supportive of what I want to do. Now, unfortunately, while I am bringing in about $500 with the with the Patreon account, that's only coming from about 60 people, which is really, I really appreciate it. That money is unbelievably useful, and it's helped me do things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. But I really wish it was $500 a month from 500 people, not, you know, 50 or 60. And a lot of what I've been doing with some of the videos I've done, especially when I've been really down and I've just been crying out for help, what I've been trying to communicate to people is that it's not the money that I need, but it's the support. And that's why, you know, $1 a month is a big deal and makes a big, big difference. And anything more than that, and there's a bunch of people that are contributing more than that, anything more than that is really, really generous. And I really appreciate it, but it's not really what I'm asking for. I'm not going to say no. Like I said, I really appreciate it. But, you know, $1 a month makes a huge difference, especially as those numbers start clocking up of people. And not because the money's clocking up, but it's the number of people that's really important. But the other thing, this Saturday was the thing that I've known this, and this is why, and I've been crying out for it. But that day I spent with Peter,
just working alongside him, getting stuff done with someone, was just, that had helped. That gave me that invigorated me, and that's what I need more of. Now, if you're down in Melbourne, or interstate, or overseas or whatever, then you can't just drop by and hang out with me for a while and we play with some tools. That's just not possible. But what you can do, and what really helps me, is when you put comments on if you put a comment on the YouTube channel, and then we start a bit of a conversation, because that helps me to know that what I'm doing is being appreciated. It also helps me to know that people care. Looking after a disabled kid is really lonely. It's really isolating. And a lot of the time, the only social interaction I'm really getting is online. Because it is too far for people to come up here most of the time. So if you can't come and visit me, if you can't come and hang out, if you can't come and play, please comment, please ask questions, please make suggestions, all sorts of stuff. I'd really appreciate it. So anyway, have fun. I've got more milling stuff coming up. A whole stack of pine trees that that are coming down that I looked at today, that I'm going to be milling up this week. I've got the beehive giveaway competition to get back to. I've also picked up a whole stack of oak tongue and groove offcuts, which I've got to work out what to do with. So yeah, stay tuned. Lots happening. And see you in the next video.